Love doesn't always slip away in a storm of shouting or slammed doors. More often, it fades like a whisper, quietly, without a fuss. One day, you're looking at the same person, hearing the same voice, but something's off. The spark that used to light up the room is gone. Conversations that once flowed like a river now feel like a chore. You can't pinpoint why, but you feel it. A growing emptiness where warmth used to be. People don't usually announce, "I don't love you anymore." They just stop showing it. Not out of spite, but because hearts shift. Attention drifts. What once mattered to them doesn't anymore, and that quiet indifference stings more than any argument. Have you ever stood next to someone you adore, yet felt completely alone? Like you're there, but they don't see you. No big fight, no dramatic goodbye, just a silent gap that keeps widening. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "You control your mind, not what happens around you." When someone pulls away, the real pain isn't their distance, it's our refusal to accept it. We cling to how things were, even as life moves on. Today, we'll uncover a simple truth. When love starts to fade, it leaves clues. Not loud or harsh, but clear if you pay attention. Let me tell you about a man who learned this the hard way, not through betrayal or chaos, but through stillness. His story reveals the two signs that love is slipping away. In a peaceful village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a baker named Thomas. He was a quiet man who found joy in kneading dough and watching the sunrise. Every evening, he came home to his wife, Mira, the person who made every long day worth it. They weren't rich or fancy, but they had each other. Shared smiles over tea, walks through the market, little jokes that only they understood. To Thomas, their bond was a steady flame, unshaken by time. Until one spring, it flickered. It wasn't a single moment. No shouting, no tears, just a shift. Mira stopped greeting him at the door with her usual grin. She'd set out bread and soup, but eat in silence. She didn't ask about the bakery or tell him what she'd seen in the village. At first, Thomas brushed it off. Maybe she was just busy, he thought. But days turned into weeks, and the quiet grew heavier. Her eyes didn't meet his anymore. Her laughter faded. He tried to fix it, brought her wildflowers, baked her favorite loaf, asked about her day. But her replies were short, her smiles forced, like she was humoring a stranger. Confused and aching, Thomas left one morning for the hills. He'd heard of an old woman who lived alone near a stream called the Listener. She wasn't wise in a grand way, just someone who'd loved, lost, and learned. When Thomas found her, she was sitting by the water, tossing pebbles into the current. She didn't speak, just nodded for him to sit. They watched the stream flow for a while, the ripples spreading and fading. Finally, Thomas said, "I think she's stopped loving me. She's still here, but I feel alone." The Listener picked up a smooth stone and turned it in her hand. When the seasons change, the stream doesn't fight it. It lets the water move. Love's the same. It doesn't yell when it leaves. It drifts. Thomas frowned. "How do I know for sure?" She tossed the stone into the stream. "Watch. It's not in words. It's in what's missing. The signs are there, quiet but real." As they sat, Thomas began to see what she meant, and in that stillness, he found the truth. The first sign: they stopped letting you into their world. Back home, Mira still cooked, still sat across from him, but the closeness was gone. She didn't share her thoughts anymore. No stories about the neighbor's cat, no dreams about the future. Once, they'd talk late into the night about everything and nothing. Now she'd answer with a shrug or a fine and leave it there. One evening, he asked what made her happy that day. She paused, then said, "I don't know," and turned away. It wasn't anger, it was a wall. Her heart had locked him out, not with a bang, but with silence. The Listener had called it shutting the window. She said everyone has an inner space, hopes, fears, little joys, And love means sharing it. When that window closes, when they stop telling you what's on their mind, it's not always a secret. Sometimes, they just don't feel you're part of their story anymore. Thomas saw it now. Mira's world had drifted beyond his reach, and no amount of knocking could bring her back. The second sign, they start looking elsewhere. One afternoon, they walked through the village together, something they used to love. But Mira's eyes wandered to a couple joking by the well, to a merchant's bright scarf. She didn't say much, just murmured, "That's nice," about a stranger's laugh. It was small, but it cut deep. Thomas felt like he was being weighed against others and coming up short. She didn't criticize him. She didn't need to. Her quiet glances said what words never would. He wasn't enough anymore. The listener had warned him about this. When love fades, the heart looks outward. It notices what you don't have, forgets what you do. It's not a loud comparison. No, I wish you were like them. It's subtler, a flicker of interest in someone else's life, a dimming when they look at yours. Thomas felt it every time Mira's face lit up for others but stayed blank for him. She wasn't leaving yet, but her spirit already had. So what do you do when you see these signs? Thomas went back to the listener one last time. She was by the stream again, watching the water carry leads away. "I've seen it," he said. "She doesn't share with me, and she's looking at others." "What now?" The listener smiled faintly. "You can't hold the stream still. If her heart's gone, chasing it won't bring it back. Let it flow." Thomas nodded, heavy but clear. "Should I fight for her?" She shook her head. "You can plead, you can wait, but if she's already left inside, you're only chasing a shadow. The strength isn't in holding on, it's in letting go." The Stoic Epictetus once said, "You're free when you release what you can't control." Thomas couldn't make Mira love him again, but he could choose himself, not with bitterness, but with calm. The next day, he rose early, baked his bread, and walked his fields. He didn't beg for Mira's warmth or search her face for what wasn't there. He let her be. If she came back, it'd be her choice. If not, he'd still be whole. Letting go didn't mean he stopped caring. It meant he cared enough to stop fighting a battle already lost. Love changes. Sometimes it stays, sometimes it fades into a memory. But it always teaches us. Thomas learned that real strength isn't forcing someone to stay. It's standing tall when they leave. It's tending your own fire, even when the wind shifts. The Stoics knew this. We don't own people or their feelings. We own our response. And in that choice, we find peace. Now think about your own life. Have you felt someone pull away, not with words, but with silence? Have you noticed their eyes drift to others while you stay on them? Share your story. Write it down, reflect, let it out. By speaking, you heal, and you help others find their footing too. Love isn't something we trap, it's something we live. And sometimes, the truest way to honor it is to let it go.